All right, burns. So this is we're seeing what's happening with the family now. At first, I felt no pain, only heat. I thought I might be swallowed by the heat, like the witch in Hansel and Gretel. What type of figurative language is that? I thought I might be swallowed by the heat. What was that answer to that question?
Personification.
That is personification. Awesome. It's also an example of what? Like Hansel and Gretel. That's a what?
Simile.
That's a simile. Good. Um, and nothing would be left of me. Someone brought Doc rice. He tended Ma first, then came to me. The doctor cut away the skin on my hands. It hung in crested strips. He cut my skin away with scissors, then poked my hands with pins to see what I could feel. He bathed my burns in antiseptic. An antiseptic is something that's there to prevent um, bacteria or anything getting into your body. Only then did the pain come. Um, so something super important when it comes to your skin actually acts as a barrier between your body and bacteria. So if you get sick, most of the time when you're getting sick is the reason is because you breathed in either through your mouth or through your nose some sort of bacteria or virus, right? So that's what how you get sick generally, right? Your skin is like a barrier as well, right? So when your skin gets burned, it's almost like you have mouths wherever that cut is at, wherever that burn is. So one of the biggest things that actually winds up hurting people or killing people who get burned is the fact that they get sick, they get like bacteria in their body that generally would never have gotten in there. Also, in terms of this girl, like it's kind of strange that you think, oh, she didn't really feel pain. What happens to your body when you have a super traumatic event is it goes into like this thing called shock. So your body doesn't feel pain immediately; like it kind of ignores it, and then eventually, when she stuck her hand in this antiseptic, it probably like it woke it up or whatever. All right, nightmare. I'm awake now, still shaking from my dream. So everything after this part is her dream. So she's talking about what she dreamt about. I was coming home through a howling dust storm. My lowered face was scrubbed raw by dirt and wind. Grit scratched my eyes. Grit just means like dirt. It crunched between my teeth. Sand chafed inside of my clothes. That means like rubbing painfully against my skin. Dust crept inside my ears, up my nose, down my throat. I shuddered, nasty with dust. In the house, dust blew through the cracks in the walls. It covered the floorboards and heaped against the doors. It floated in the air everywhere. I didn't care about anything, anyone, only the piano. I searched for it, found it under a mound of dust. I was angry at Ma for letting in the dust. I cleaned off the keys, but when I played, a tortured sound came from the piano like someone shrieking. Again, that's like another simile and personification. I hit the keys with my fist, and the piano broke into 100 pieces. Daddy called to me. He asked me to bring water. Ma was thirsty. I brought up a pail of fire, and Ma drank it. She had given birth to a baby of flames. The baby burned at her side. So remember, this is all a dream, right? I ran away to the Eaton's farm. The house had been tractored out, tipped off to its foundation. No one could live there. Everywhere I looked were dunes of rippled dust. The wind roared like fire. Again, that's another simile. The door to the house hung open, and there was dust inside several feet deep. And there was a piano. The bench was gone right through the floor. The piano leaned toward me. That's another personification example. I stood and played. The relief I felt to hear the sound of music after the sound of the piano at home. I dragged the Eaton's piano through the dust to our house, but when I got in there I couldn't play. I had swollen lumps for hand. They dripped a sickly pus. They swung stupidly from my wrists. They stung with pain. When I woke up, the water about my hands was real. Right, so obviously her whole physical situation is all messed up because of her burns on her hands. All right, next chapter, a tent of pain. Daddy has made a tent out of the sheet over Ma, so nothing will touch her skin, what skin that she has left. Right, so she's probably protecting the mom from pain, right? If the sheet touches the skin, it's going to hurt. I can't look at her. I can't recognize her. She smells like scorched meat. Her body groaning there. It's nothing like my ma. It doesn't even have a face. Daddy brings her water and drips it inside the slit of her mouth by squeezing a cloth. Right, so essentially, it's probably too painful if the water actually touches her skin. So he has to like put water inside of a hand cloth and like squeeze it into her mouth so that she doesn't feel the pain. She can't open her eyes. She cries out when the baby moves inside her. Otherwise, she moans day and night. I wish the dust would plug my ears so I couldn't hear her. Right, so obviously you see the situation for the mom is not good. Drinking. Daddy found the money Ma kept squirreled in the kitchen under the threshold. So this is basically telling you the mother has been hiding money from the father. It wasn't very much, but it was enough for him to go get good and drunk. He went out last night. While Ma moaned and begged for water, he drank up the emergency money until it was gone. I tried to help her. I couldn't aim the dripping cloth into her mouth. I couldn't squeeze. It hurt the blisters on my hands to try, right? So this girl doesn't have function of her hands anymore. So because of it, she's having difficulty putting the water in the mom's mouth. I only made it worse for Ma. She cried for the pain of the water running into her sores. She cried for the water that would not soothe her throat and quench her thirst. The whole time my father was in Gaiman drinking. Right, so similar to the last novel that we read, we see that the father here is not dealing well with his situation. So he took money, basically their money that they need to survive, and went drinking. And then you see this mom suffering throughout the night. Devoured. Doc sent me outside to get water. The day was so hot. The house was so hot. As I came out the door, I saw the cloud descending. So this is weird, right? So clouds don't just like descend. It whirred like 1,000 engines, so it's making this weird noise. It shifted shape as it came settling first over Daddy's wheat. Grasshoppers, eating tassels, leaves, stalks. Then coming closer to the house, eating Ma's garden, the fence posts, the laundry on the line, and then the grasshoppers came right over me, descending on Ma's apple trees. I climbed into the trees, opening scabs on my tender hands, grasshoppers clinging to me. I tried beating them away, but the grasshoppers ate every leaf. They ate every piece of fruit. Nothing left but a couple of apple cores hanging from Ma's trees. I couldn't tell her. I couldn't bring myself to say her apples were gone. I never had a chance. Ma died that day giving birth to my brother. All right, so obviously things are kind of crazy here. So the mom is passed. What is it that was in that storm that just came? What was that? That ate everything. What ate everything here? What was this thing that was eating everything? Something came. What was it? Does anyone know what ate everything here? It was grasshoppers, right? So there's something weird that happens with grasshoppers that they actually turn into something called locusts. They actually like it's weird. It's like they change shape, yeah, and they get bigger. Um, and they go crazy, and they like wind up like coming into these giant swarms, and they like destroy fields. So another crazy thing that this is actually historically accurate too. So not only were these people suffering from like no plants, but then these giant swarms of locusts would come and like destroy their plants as well. So this is actually like kind of like historically accurate. All right, so what I need you guys to do